Okay, so going to go over this trade I took this morning. Ended up being a winning trade. I did de-risk on it, and I'll give my reasoning as to why. I would have been okay with winning or losing this trade because I thought I had my reasoning was sound. Like I sound logic for everything I did today, execution wise, why I had my TP where it was, why I had my stop loss where it was, um, everything. So let's start on the daily here. Actually, let's start on the weekly. Because the weekly I ended up actually having my target for the day. So previous weekly high ended up being my TP. We hadn't taken it yet. Um, on the daily, there's not really much showing here for us to really. It is what it is. I mean, I was bullish coming into today with previous weekly high not being taken. Obviously, an incredibly bullish candle yesterday. Um, Nothing to really come lower for, in my opinion. I mean, we could just continue to range. That's something we could do, and it's something we still can do. We'll see how this candle closes. It would be nice if it closed above this high, but we've been ranging, so that's always a possibility. You look at the 4 hour here, you'll see I have a bunch of lines I don't need anymore. This is previous daily low, just in case we ended up, going against my original bias, and always could use that as a short target. I think what was this? This was something else. I don't know. Oh, 4 hour. Yeah, no, whatever. Get rid of those. I forget what this is. We might need it. Anyways, you'll see we ended up doing a nice job of pumping and going in the direction that I wanted us to go. So my bias was correct today. Again, this is previous weekly high. That was my target. 4 hour doesn't really give us much either. I will say the 4 hour was inverse this, and we didn't respect this 4 hour. However, ES respected its 4 hour, and we were still trading inside of the 4 hour when I entered this trade. So that was good. That was a nice SMT in our favor. There was an SMT also that went against us, which is a reason why I de-risked a little bit, and we'll talk about that. You'll see here on the hourly, we were respecting an hourly fair value gap. So even though we inverse that 4 hour, we're still respecting an hourly fair value gap. You see the way we traded lower here. I mean, clearly someone was trying real hard for us to go lower, but just couldn't get it done, right? Like buyers were succeeding even in this rundown. You could tell. I mean, we left so much low resistance liquidity here. So we were bouncing off of a 1 hour fair value gap, bouncing off a 4 hour fair value gap on ES. And we just ripped, and we didn't really get an entry here. There was nothing for us to enter off of here, no sweep, no nothing. We finally came into a 5 minute, but also a 15 minute fair value gap. So once we did this, we still didn't take in previous weekly high, so that was my target. However, the SMT that went against us, and the reason for why I de-risked here, was the fact that on this pullback here, which was my entry on NQ, we had already taken previous weekly high on ES. And I don't know, let me check, like, was there better targets above previous weekly high? No, I mean, that was a solid, like, it looks like now we're going to come for this high here, but that was a solid level where we could have reversed from. So I don't want to put too much emphasis, we are pumping, holy fuck. I don't want to put too much emphasis on SMTs. I think they're a useful tool. I think I used the SMT correctly today in the sense that that was a pretty major inflection point for ES, taking the previous weekly high and taking some major highs, that swing highs there, where we could have seen some resistance from that level. Clearly, we in hindsight we did not, but I mean, realistically, that was the reason we even retraced on NQ, is because there was a little bit of resistance from that level. And ES started to look pretty weak actually in comparison to NQ here, and caused me to be in a bit of drawdown before we pumped. But at the end of the day, I don't want SMTs to get to fog me up too much where it's to the point where I'm never taking a trade because there's always some SMT happening. You have to understand the important SMTs. That was an important SMT. We took a swing high. We didn't just take some internal high. We took a swing high, previous weekly high, my targets for NQ were taken on ES. So my model presented itself nicely. It presented itself nicely. So I said, I'm going to take this. I'm just going to de-risk a little bit because of the SMT. And so as you can see, 15-minute fair value gap we're bouncing from. Some choppy price action on the 5-minute. 3-minute got triggered with this candle here with a limit after we inverse this 3-minute fair value gap. Highest fair value gap to be inversed in the leg. 1-to-1 RR, stop underneath the low, TP, previous weekly high. This is why it's so important to have a reason why you're TPing and a valid level that makes sense. Because imagine, now I still could have gotten fucked over. I'm happy I didn't, but realistically, had I got a worse fill and I wanted to target a 1-to-1, you know, I could have gotten fucked over. But that's kind of the risk you're taking when you get that worse fill. It is what it is. I managed to get a nice fill with the limit, so I was able to take profit right here. Actually, my stop was a little bit shorter, so it ended up being a 1-to-1 on Top Step there. And I'll show the executions, but at the end of the day, 3-minute inversion, limit fill, some hefty drawdown right to begin, and I was just gonna take the L. It is what it is. I deleveraged for a valid reason, still took the trade for a valid reason. My model was present, and I want to be involved when I can be, when my model presents itself for reasons like this. I ended up winning, but again, took profit at the previous weekly high. Can you imagine if for whatever reason I didn't have any awareness that we were taking that level, and I'm just sitting in the trade and I'm wondering why the fuck we were just pumping, and then in a millisecond we're back down and hitting my stop loss or my break even. You know, another important note to make is I broke even here. So had my TP been higher, it would have just been a break even trade. But yes, TP'd there, valid level to TP at. Obviously, some crazy rejection right away. I thought we might just reverse from that level then once I saw that candle. But as you can see, we just keep pumping. And yeah, that was the trade. Let me just show executions real fast. Here we go. I have 3 trading combines that I took it on. I copy traded it on. Not trading this Express account right now. Just focusing on the combines. And there you go. That was the execution. 3 contracts instead of 6. 6 would have been my full risk. Risk only half my normal position size because, again, like I mentioned. So that was the setup. And yeah, nice winning trade.